Will the Olympic Games in 2032 in Brisbane affect the property market in a positive way? I don't think so. Unfortunately, people think that back when the Olympic Games happened in 2000 in Sydney, they thought the property market was going to boom. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Now the reason being why I don't think it's going to have any sort of effect on the property market is that we're seeing some strong growth at this point in time in Brisbane. The last 3 years, we've seen some 3 or 4 years, I should say, you've seen some really good growth in Brisbane. That was probably the best time back in 2019, 18 to get into the property market in Brisbane, and it's really taken off. I've personally purchased a property there back in 2019. I purchased it for 300k, and it's already doubled in value in the space of 3-4 years. You could say not even 4 years yet. It'll be 4 years, I think, in September this year, and it's doing tremendously well. The rents have increased dramatically. I think it started at 360. Now the rents are at 460. So, they improved a fair bit since then, and I think it's just going to keep increasing. Now, how much does the property market have to go in Brisbane? I think it's unsustainable to see strong, consistent growth all the way up till 2032. Keep in mind that people that are coming to the Olympics, of course, are coming there to play sport or compete in sport. Of course, there's going to be spectators. Doesn't mean all those spectators are going to decide to come and live in Australia and move here. Of course, there's going to be some sparked interest. Of course, people seeing the beautiful country that we do have. But back in 2000, when Sydney had the host of the Olympic Games, the property market actually did not move. Back from 2000 to 2005, Sydney's property market did not grow more than 50% in that time frame. And it's quite interesting because, people were saying, oh, the property market is going to take off back then also because of the Olympic Games, because of, being Sydney. It is ranked one of the most livable cities, of course, in the top 10 in the world at the moment. Back then, of course, it was, still a very beautiful city. There was a lot of things happening in Sydney back then. It was a lot bigger than Melbourne, and it was a lot bigger than all the other cities as well. So, I can't see this having a positive effect from property prices increasing because of the Olympic Games. If you're banking on that and you're waiting for the Olympic Games and they're going to purchase just before the Olympic Games, I think you should be a bit wiser and actually think a bit more logical and not follow the crowd and follow what the headlines are saying, and actually think about what you're trying to do. I think it's better. There is a good time right now to invest. I don't think it's in Brisbane's market right now. I think it's overinflated. It's you'll be paying a lot over the asking price of what people are saying or asking for, I should say. So I think it's time will tell, and I definitely will look back on this video when I made it back in 2032 and say, okay, well, what happened to the property market, after the Olympic Games or during the Olympic Games or just before the Olympic Games. Of course, you will still see some growth potentially. Of course, I'm not saying you won't. I'm not saying it's not going to keep continuing growing. Brisbane, from a property perspective, from now and from 2032, sorry. But I'm saying to be wise and actually think a bit logical with this, and not just invest because of one thing that is happening from the Olympic Games in Brisbane. There is more things to come, and that will influence the property market in all sorts of industries or environments and certain, locations across the country. And a lot of those places across the country that have grown and have some of the best property markets in the country, they didn't grow because the Olympic Games was hosted there or the Commonwealth Games was hosted there or because of a sporting event. No, of course. Places like Byron Bay, places like Wonthaggi, places like Wangaratta, places like, Tasmania, Launceston, all these places, they've grown tremendous amounts of capital growth because of certain things happening in there, from infrastructure projects, creation of jobs, movement of people, internal migration, and government policies, and a whole bunch of other influences of happening in the market with, low building approvals, etc., pushing up prices. It wasn't because of the Olympic Games, it wasn't because of the Commonwealth Games or sporting events. Of course, there can be things that influence it from those aspects, from new sporting facilities and upgrades of facilities, or creating a new stadium and things like that. They do have an effect, but I'm just giving you guys a different perspective to actually have a look about this and think it differently from a different point of view. Have a look at what some of the best property markets in Australia have done, and tell me if it was because of the Olympic Games. Okay, hopefully you actually Do go back, actually do your research, have a look at what's going on. Even go back, have a look at what Sydney done from a property perspective back in 2000 and onwards, and you'll see that there wasn't a strong amount of growth during that point in time. Okay, thank you once again. We'll see you next week with our latest video.